about the Monarchs players parked all over around the country.
Fantastic, thank you very much.
Today, then we'll have to be able to see that we'll have steps in these tyres. These tyres are epic. I just wonder if you can come around the back of Bloodhound and just have a quick look, just to get a scale of how big it is. As we keep on going round, let's see if there's someone that we can have a quick chat with. Look, this lady's having her picture taken with her son. I think, hello, what's your name? Claire. Who's this? Hi, how are you? You alright?
And that project in turn used all the experience which you know
It's just dragging.
But what we did get was one time.
Very clever.
But they proved to me a fair bit in advance before they really knew what they were doing today.
And it's great. There's been a great contest. And of course we've got the supersonic record, and now we're going to get the plan.
So the trouble is,
So we will take the car as it is, probably without much change. Yeah, I'd say it's a full on that, try and do a bit before the finish. Yeah. But,
Okay, so with the car now just being inspected by the team, Jenny Gow is down there, so as and when we get the opportunity, Jenny will be straight in there to gauge some reaction from Andy Green. But before we do that, we've got some fantastic replays of those two historic runs from the car, and here's the first run of the car. Mark, just talk us through it.
So we're looking at Andy. So Andy's applied full power. The engine looks after itself. We're very, very lucky with the EJ200. So as he puts his foot down, you'll see the nozzle change configuration, and then as the engine builds up speed, then you get the reheat, so you see the flames out the back. As he comes out of reheat, the nozzle closes, and then it opens up again as he goes into idle.
I spotted there, when he got to, of course, half the way along the runway, where we had that Echo Charlie Alpha cross of the runway, you could just see a bit of movement in the car there. So that's the bumpiest part, I assume, of that runway, where you get the
It is bumpy. You just see it there in the rear footage. It's actually, people go, how much, when you look at the springs on the car and the dampers on the car, people assume how they're going to move. No, this is massively stiff springs, but actually they work pretty hard, and I'm very lucky that we spent a lot of time working on that suspension geometry, and it's worked beautifully. I mean, it's levelled out all those slight bumps on the runway.
I suppose it's the suspension, it's the damping in particular, I guess, is it?
It's the damping. You wouldn't want to be porpoising with a car that's capable of doing 200 miles an hour in 9 seconds.
And again, I just don't get tired of it. You could show me that replay all day long. Forget what we're doing in the studio. We almost don't want any more guests. Just keep running that through, and because it looks great, and a great onboard as well as we look on board.
So if you look at that speedo, so that white needle, that is going up to over there. That's about 200 miles an hour. Is going up to. So it accelerates like nothing you've ever seen before.
And it's amazing that in that short period of time, we really don't get the impression, because we're looking out through the cockpit and looking at those dials, but you don't get the impression of the work that Andy is doing whilst all of that is going on. I was captivated by the image.
So he's sat there, so he's managing things like brake pressures and brake temperatures, and as he brings the engine up, checking things like fuel flows. There will be steering going on, so even a very slight crosswind, he will have to correct the steering of the car as he goes down the runway. So there's a huge amount of input, there's a huge amount of work, even those brief kind of 9-10 seconds, there's a lot going on. Then when he comes in to stop the car, he needs to be careful about brake temperatures and brake pressures. He doesn't want to, this car doesn't run ABS, so it's down to Andy monitoring what he's doing.
So we've had a quick look at the replays of the first run. I think we can probably go back and look at some replays of the second run as well. Are there any differences that you can pick out from what you've seen happen previously with the car? Any differences from run 1 to run 2?
I think run 2, the second run, looks like it didn't hold the reheat on for quite so long, but I mean it looks stunning. I mean that view we got from it going down the runway starting looks absolutely fantastic, and you get a real idea of how quickly it's putting on the speed. It's like a greyhound, not a bloodhound.
It certainly accelerates very, very quickly, and you can I suppose you can spool up the jets a little bit quicker here on a tarmac surface than you ultimately might be able to do when you're running in the desert, because what you don't want to be doing is sucking in lots of air off the desert floor straight away, and all of that dust and detritus.
So one of the things we looked at, particularly with where we position intake, was very much looking at what would happen when you start operating that jet engine as to where it would be sucking air from. So actually, with it quite high up, we don't think we're very sensitive to debris and dust coming off the desert. But actually, it sounds silly, we've actually looked at the dust. So if you remember a few years ago, there was the volcanic ash, the aircraft couldn't fly through the ash. Yeah. That was due to that dust that went through the engine. As it goes through those huge temperatures, 2,000 degrees, it would actually become glass within the engine, block up those cooling holes.
That would not be good, would it?
And that would not be good.
Even as somebody that doesn't really understand jet engines, I know that wouldn't be good.
But no, we've tested the dust that comes off hack scheme pan. It is very fine. It's like talcum powder. It's like nanoparticle sized, and it will just blow through the engine. So we're not massively concerned with it ingesting the dust off the surface.
Looking at the onboard shot there, is that windscreen misting by the look of things?
It might be. We haven't, so this sounds silly, so we designed this car to run in a desert in South Africa. So I jokingly said when we're coming down to Newquay in October, we need to have some windscreen wipers on it. Luckily we don't need windscreen wipers, but yes, we have actually looked at how we could do demist. This is the rear view, and you can see that suspension working as the reheat comes on.
Brilliant. That is by far the most difficult profile we've done. It's the longest profile. Car was running for 21.5 minutes, so that's, it's designed to run for a 2-minute desert run, not 1 minutes driving around an airfield doing the complex manoeuvring, and 2 high-speed bursts. This is a car meant to do supersonic speeds, and we're asking it to be a drag race up an airfield. And despite that, the car did exactly what we wanted. 2 runs to, I reckon, just over 200 miles an hour. Let me just grab Joe when he's available.
Joe is here. Joe is the man with the official. Now, you don't know these, do you? You don't know the official times, so tell us.
Between 200 and 210 miles per hour in that run.
Perfect. That's exactly what we were looking for. Lifting off at 130, just a shade over 130. As the jet engine's winding down, it peaks at just over 200, and the brake temperature's peaked at
750, 800, something like that.
That's because it's also not only making the 5-ton car go, it's also stopping the car. And we were actually seeing for the first time, not just smoke coming off the brakes, we actually had a tiny flicker of flame on one of the brakes. Very Formula One. The only thing is, this is a proper fast car. So, we came here to show the world Bloodhound is go. I can't think of a better way of doing it than that run. Not just a run, 2 back-to-back runs, longest runs we've done, the highest speeds we've done, most energy going to the brakes, and the car just went, yeah, I can do all of this. I'm designed for supersonic speed, but this I can do easily.
Just walk this way slightly because I just want to see the cockpit from where you've just climbed out of, and this gorgeous car as well. Just come around on this side so you can tell us about it. I mean, when you're actually in there, it doesn't look like there's a huge amount of room, and visibility looks incredibly limited.
Well, there's exactly the right amount of room, and of course the visibility is to be following a straight line, 12 mile long, down the desert in Haxkin Pan in Nevada, the Haxkin Pan in South Africa. You know, very much the same way that we did in Nevada 20 years ago. So I don't actually need, why do you need side windows in the car? Well, in case somebody overtakes you. This is never going to be a problem in this car. It's more than enough. Astonishingly, even with the limited visibility, it is still more than enough for me to manoeuvre around some relatively tight corners on the airfield to avoid the runway lights and all the rest of it, to line the car up, and to actually make it look like. Let me just, because I still actually have no idea what this looks like. Let me just ask the crowd for a second. Everybody saw that? What did that look like? Because I don't get to see it. Thank you very much.
Everybody, can we give him a massive round of applause?
Why is that? Why is it? Why are you saying? And you got your mechanics and steering and
I had the misfortune to follow on